Welcome to Biz Tips. I'm Ed Rataj, Managing Director of Compensation Consulting for CBIZ. Today we're going to talk about executive compensation in nonprofit organizations. Executive compensation in nonprofit organizations is becoming a very hot topic. In fact, the IRS is staffing up very aggressively and continuing to question executive compensation in nonprofit organizations. Secondly, both the board as well as executives have personal liability if the IRS finds that there is unreasonable compensation. In other words, board members and executives may have to reach into their own wallet to pay penalties. Typically, this is not covered by D&O insurance. Thirdly, executive compensation in nonprofit organizations is becoming a newspaper issue. It's becoming more and more common that the newspapers are reporting executive compensation in the headline as a way of attempting to embarrass nonprofit organizations into paying lower. In our informal discussions with the IRS, they've indicated that there's a threshold of about $125,000 in total compensation to an executive that puts them on the radar screen for scrutiny. That's not to say that you can't pay above $125,000 for sure, but you will be on their radar screen. Secondly, Part 6 of the 990, in fact, Question 15, Parts A and B, asks specifically about executive compensation and if your organization has taken the steps to protect itself. There's a three-step process for protecting your organization's board members and executives. It's called the rebuttable presumption, and it shifts the burden of proof from your nonprofit organization to the IRS and makes it incumbent on the IRS to prove that what you're doing is unreasonable. The first step is that executive compensation decisions need to be made by an independent party. Typically, this is already occurring as the board or compensation committee in most organizations make those decisions. Secondly, you need to rely on appropriate data when making those decisions. This is often where we get involved, as we have a wealth of compensation data that's specific to nonprofit as well as for-profit organizations. The third step is that you need to adequately and concurrently document your compensation decisions. Typically, this is taking place through board minutes. I hope you found today's presentation informative. For more information, feel free to contact me directly via email at the email address listed on this slide.